But the Benelux area, the Low Countries, are so fantastic. So I'll try to zip through them super fast tonight with what you can come see in Benelux. It starts here in Rotterdam, where I have moved because I just love this city. It's one of the world cities that the more time I spend here, the more I love it. I got to be honest, not all cities are like that. Some of them are really great to visit, and I wouldn't want to live there. Rotterdam just has more and more stories to tell, so I'm going to try to focus on one. It's agony. Tonight is sadism, let me tell you. There's so much to say about these places. So Rotterdam, where I am right now, is if you wanted to distill it down into one first kernel, Rotterdam is a conversation between the sort of Dutch creativity, the idea of Europe and the world around what do you need a city to be? Because you think of the Netherlands, everyone thinks of Amsterdam, which is a great city, don't get me wrong. But Amsterdam, you think of those 1600s, those Dutch Golden Age houses, the gable stones, all that. It's great. And Rotterdam had that. It was a peer of Amsterdam going way back. But the whole thing got destroyed in an afternoon in World War II. It's a different story. We'll talk about it. So they had a chance to rebuild a new city. And what did they do with it? Now, I like this photo because it shows you a few of the things. In the front, that kind of with the arch, the small arch, that's a train station. Now, you normally get train stations are the worst part of town. They're grimy. They're pretty scuzzy. They're kind of far outside. You know, you need public transport in Europe, but how are you going to put it? That's underground. That's an underground train station. It's right in the center, super easy to get to. It works extremely well. It also works well for our tours because you can get to The Hague and go see Girl with a Pearl Earring, do whatever you want from right in the city center there. Above that, you can see those little white tents. That's a farmer's market, the largest one in the Netherlands, happens twice a week. So they kept open space for that because you got to have those weekly markets. That's a European thing, right? It's not just France. You pick up your daily shopping. Coming around, you can just see a church tower. There's a lot of churches in Europe. You may have noticed that. It's a whole thing. That is one of the few buildings that survived the bombing. It's the St. Lawrence Church. It is asked the question of what is a church nowadays? You have so many churches across Europe that are being converted into cafes and hotels and tourist information offices because they just don't need them. That one's still a church, still has services, but it has so much in there. They have a chapel to books. They have a whole chapel recognizing the importance of literature. I mean, I'm a nerd, so I love that. But they had, last time I was in there, they had a whole exhibition about religious festivals all around the world, recognizing all of them with dignity and the shared purpose of connecting with the divine. I love that type of thing that's possible in a city like Rotterdam. But the main thing is, of course, that big, weird, arching thing in the middle there. That's the market hall. That is kind of a big deal. It has become one of the things that Rotterdam is known for. But I was talking with a guy, you know, you get to come meet our friends here. One of my friends here, he's Rotterdam for, I don't know, generations. His family's probably got here riding on a dinosaur, who knows? But he was saying, I was asking about the path of the city, and he was saying a lot of things have changed. It's famous for being the biggest harbor in Europe. It's the biggest harbor outside of China still to this day. And harbors brought some pretty rough types. Some of those kind of salty sailor dudes brought some pretty rough reputation. Rotterdam had that for a long time. It's part of why it escaped the notice of tourism, because a lot of our tourism today is determined by rich British kids a couple centuries ago in the late 1800s, where they went on their grand tour to get cultured. This wasn't a place where rich people wanted their sons to go because it was all prostitution and sailors. That's all changed. And this friend I was talking to said that part of how he sees this city really moving forward is things like the market hall, where they're really asking these interesting questions and changing this city. It's not a sailor haven anymore like that. No offense to the sailors. Sorry, Paul. But that market hall, inside it is a market, right? And there's one outside there, like a farmer's market. So why would you need another one? Well, it rains a lot. I saw a little bit of blue sky this morning for the first time in 14 days. I can't wait for summer to be here and run this tour in summer when the weather here is perfect. It's not as hot as some down south places, long, beautiful days. So you want that market, but you also, in the center of a city, you need housing, density housing, you need offices. So the market hall is all three of them. On the top there, you've got those little windows. Those are apartments. You have offices, restaurants, a market, everything all in one space. But how are you going to do that in a way that's fun? Because otherwise it's just a shopping mall. You can see that roof kind of mosaic there. They call it the Sistine Chapel of the North, which I like. I don't know what Michelangelo would have thought of it, but although I was looking at that, it's got a big, beautiful avocado, and poor Michelangelo, guy never ate an avocado. So I like this one. But the market hall, I asked that question, how are you going to get everything you need from a city in one central area? Now, on that last picture, going back real quick, you got a big road there, uninteresting to us. But they started putting in big boulevards, and they found they were losing that sense of a village. They were just becoming a big city. And they say, we don't want that. We want village neighborhoods. So they built this. The cube houses is another one of the things that's Rotterdam's getting known for, where they built these cute little houses. But so they want a village, but you want people to be able to be in there. So this architect lifted them up in the air. So they're like it's like a treehouse village. And then the space underneath there, sort of below the canopy, you can have your community. You can have a little market there. You can have a party. You can have a dance. You can do whatever you want. Now, I don't expect these to take over the world because they're pretty weird inside. The walls are all, sloping and kind of crazy. But it's just part of this conversation. What do you do with housing if you have a chance to make something new? And I love the way Rotterdam and the Dutch have faced that. Other challenges, how do you feed us? This is on a rooftop. It's on about I guess it's about the 9th or 10th story. They said, why waste a flat rooftop? Put a farm on it. I took this from my table where I was having brunch, and most of what was on the menu was grown on the rooftop, because you can do that. Well, if you're the Dutch, you can do that. They are geniuses. So there's a cistern underneath there. It's connected with the top-notch weather system. It's just cool. You get farm to table without needing a car. They love art. I mean, I'm going to keep skipping along here, but that's sort of what do you do with art museums to make them interesting? I'll come back to that when we get to Antwerp. In the center there, how do you have stuff for people just to enjoy? This is prime area. You can see the market hall in the background, where they could have built a bajillion-dollar Hilton here, but instead they put in a surf wave last year. This was put in last year. You can go down there and surf in the middle of the city in summer. So bring your wetsuit when you come on my Benelux tour. You also just public spaces for people to come and gather. They don't have to buy something. They can just be there and enjoy the weather. The Dutch are going through a month like this one. When the warm weather gets here, oh baby, do they know how to enjoy it. I was born and raised in California, in Oakland. It was a sunny, beautiful day every day. We didn't really care. Here, they care. When it gets beautiful, the whole town comes out. They built this floating platform. It's right by some floating offices, floating museum. Those are floating saunas in the background. You can jump right in the river. It's that clean. Despite the harbor downstream, you can just go swimming in the river right there. So bring your wetsuit, bring your swimsuit, bring your appetite. There's delicious food. Anyway, we'll go through it. Now, one extra thing, there's one change. I'm not going to change the website, but there's something you should know if you want to come this year only. The Sail Festival. This year is the Sail Festival. It's Amsterdam's 750th birthday, and it'll be the 10th time they have this festival. They don't do it every year. I've been hoping to go to this for years, and this year it's the chance to do it because its opening day is on day 3 of the tour, when it's normally our day trip to Leiden. So instead of Leiden, this year we're going to Amsterdam. It's opening day for the sailing festival, where they bring in 10,000 ships from 20 different nationalities, including all these tall ships, and you get to check out the city on a truly remarkable day. That's this year only, if you want to go to that. Then the next stop, I had to cut out the in-between stops. This is brutal, but our next stop is Antwerp. Antwerp, Belgium is just such a great city. It's known for all the kind of finer things in life, right? Diamonds, fashion, Rubens, Baroque art, all that stuff. It's got all of that. I mean, this is their train station. Like train stations don't look like that. They call it the cathedral of train stations. But one other thing I like about Antwerp is fancy stuff, expensive stuff can be pretty exclusive and a little stodgy, right? A little bit, not that much fun. This is their fine art museum. It just opened after a multi-year renovation. So, okay, fine art museum, it's going to be really a little hoity-toity, right? But it's not. As you walk around in there, they have just random stuff built into the building. On the left, you can see a hand, and on the right, a giant nose way up there. They both move. The hand just does this like creepy, random Hitchcockian thing. So people are sitting there looking at the art, pretending to, whatever they're doing. And then all of a sudden they notice this hand and it breaks it up. If that's not enough, the one on the right, yes, that is a giant hanging booger thing that drops down towards people in case they start taking themselves too seriously, and then comes rising back up again. And it just reminds you that art is supposed to be experienced, and sometimes it's playful, sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's love, sometimes it's heartbreak. It just reminds you of that, and it's just such a beautiful way to experience art. And not too many cities would take that risk to spend this much money on a fine art museum and put a giant hanging booger thing in it. I love Antwerp for that. One quick thing that we do say, I know I tried to cut out the in-between stops to make this fast tonight, but on our way down to Luxembourg, we're going to stop in Maastricht, where a good friend of mine, one of the most charismatic bus drivers in Europe's sister, is going to be our local guide there. She's a dear friend also. She's going to take us around Maastricht and here to the Margraten American Cemetery. Now, if you've been to any of the American cemeteries, especially in the Low Countries, every grave is adopted by a local family, and they're really loving in how they do this. This is all through Belgium and everywhere, but this one in particular just really amazed me. The families have done research into each man or woman buried there, and they found pictures, they found their stories, they found testaments from their family, and they put them in there. There's a little QR code. You scan it, and you get to learn about whoever's grave it is. It's really a very special experience. It's quite a remarkable thing to get to do there. And it's just a connection from us, as Americans to the Netherlands and to this area, because they're not that distinct. Then our last stop, Luxembourg, which I consider the best kept secret in Western Europe. It's right in the center of all these other countries, and they don't really get tourism. That's not because there's nothing to see. It's because they don't need it. Luxembourg has been the richest country in the world for, I think, 9 of the last 10 years. They're doing fine. They don't need tourists. So they've never promoted it. They're hoping we don't notice, but we noticed. It's fantastic. So you go down there and you check out this remarkable city. It's a little bit, I hope Margaret doesn't get offended by this. I know she takes people to Paris. I love Paris, but Luxembourg's a little bit like Paris without all the Parisians. God, can we block this on French YouTube? So the city of Luxembourg is on a river. So it's all down the hillsides there, all these different layers. You can see all this like Habsburgian architecture. It was owned back and forth between France or Austria, depending on which century you're going to. Now, when that happens, you need fortifications. You can see those walls in there are not just retaining walls, they're fortifications. This river valley between France and Germany is extremely important, tactically speaking. So the whole thing is just covered in fortifications. They called it the Gibraltar of the North. Vauban, Louis XIV's amazing fortification designer, designed all these. There are a series of hikes you can take where you go check them out. You see the city from all these different angles. You learn about the different history and the whole thing. And the other thing that I love about it is this city, because I don't know if it's because it's so rich or it's already built or what. It's just beautiful. This is right next to that last one. So you're right by the center of the city, and you're in a park almost. It's a beautiful place. It's a very surprising city. All of the public transport in the entire country is all free because they just said, yeah, people need this service. So they've done that. So Luxembourg is a really interesting place as well. So that's my Benelux tour. I should have called it the Low Countries tour maybe, because Benelux sounds like either a casino or a laxative. I wrote in an email to Sandy this morning. So, but it's a fantastic region. Come see what made Europe what it is.